It is Monday night, the day after DeepSeek crashed the semiconductor market and took Nvidia down 17%, among other stocks that were flying high for 2 years. It was a really incredible day where the losses of capital in certain stocks was just incredible. A very interesting day. And not all stocks were going down. The Dow stocks performed quite well. If you look at Dow stocks, the Dow was up 0.65, which is a good day. And if you contrast it against the NASDAQ, which was down 3%, I mean, that is a bonfire of value being burned and taken away. So it's really a big shift of capital and a rotation from some sectors over to some other sectors, which is, I think, healthy. Having a good rotation out of some stocks that have been doing great for a couple of years is quite natural, if you ask me. And the NASDAQ has had a really incredible ride so far in January of 2025. It had a nice beginning to the month, but then it came back down and went up. So this volatility is just really, really wicked. We look at the 6 month, it's had some pretty good volatility. Over the 6 month, the NASDAQ is up 11.35%, which is less than its annual rate by a little bit, not too much. But the annual rate, if we would have looked at it at the very beginning of 2025, or I guess the end of 2024, it was closer to 30%. So we're having a pullback, and the gravity of those big stocks is really showing up and pulling them down, moving some values from one sector to another. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So NASDAQ was down. Of course, the stock that everybody was talking about was NVIDIA, and how incredible the loss of $600 billion of capital out of NVIDIA is. The one day number one highest amount of market cap loss in any stock ever. And then the number two position belongs to NVIDIA. So, NVIDIA stockholders must be, I don't know what you would do on a day like this. I mean, it was just a pretty bad situation. And really, if you look at, an investor that maybe was unfortunate and bought on June 18th to this period, after 7-8 months, you're down 12.66%, when you expected NVIDIA was just going to keep climbing and really doing the magical things that it was doing. But stocks do not go up forever. They have to have fundamentals that show that, hey, the market, it's going to keep going up. Then the story really changed with DeepSeek coming into the market and showing that, hey, AI could be done a different way that's less expensive. And I've studied up the DeepSeek story more. And, yesterday and this morning was not the first time that story was disclosed. DeepSeek was released on Christmas Day, and it didn't get a ton of attention out of the gate. But last week at Davos, a very intelligent leader of an AI company, and the CEO of Scale AI, he came out and he said that his company, their service in the AI space is they label data in order for the AI models to effectively use data. And he also looks at the models to see which ones are effective and which ones are not. And he looked at DeepSeek and he was really impressed with how accurate it was and how good it was. The other thing that the Chinese are claiming is that they are doing it with inferior technology and superior algorithms, superior techniques, and just a superior design. If they're right, that really crushes the NVIDIA story, because the NVIDIA story is built on superior technology that the demand is not going to wane. Well, holy smokes, we got a problem, because if you have a competitor that's spending a lot less and achieving the same result or even a better result, that really screws things up for NVIDIA, as well as ChatGPT, OpenAI, as among others. So needless to say, that is the story of the moment. And my question, I don't know how long it's going to last. Is it going to go a day, a week, a month, a year? Is it going to be a permanent effect on NVIDIA? It could be. The one thing I've said from the very beginning is semiconductor is cyclical. What cyclical means is you have booms and you have slowdowns. You have booms and you have slowdowns. And a slowdown will come if NVIDIA follows the cyclical nature of their industry. So we'll see. It's, all eyes are going to be on NVIDIA tomorrow, among other stocks that were really priced up because people wanted to get into them. They wanted to be a part of it. They thought, man, I want to double my money on Nvidia. Who knows? Maybe I'll 10 bag it. And some people did 10 bag their investment on Nvidia. So it becomes quite an attractive investment for investors, but the fundamentals did not support it. And I've been sharing my fundamentals for a long time. And so it's not a story that I'm, changing. I've been commenting that, hey, I'm short Nvidia for a while. Looks like Carlos, how are you? Rough day on the market, and you're glad you're diversified. You're only down 0.5%. Well done, sir. That's why we diversify, is if you only own one stock, you're going to live or die with that one stock. But if you diversify, some of your stocks are going to do well. Some of your stocks are going to do poorly. That was my case. I was down like 0.27 today, and I call that a win. I'm not close to that 3%. My worst performing stock from a dollar perspective was probably Google. It was down nearly 4%, and I owned so much of it that it was my biggest loser. My best winner from a percentage perspective was Nice Software. It's a new pickup that I started buying. That stock came out of a weekend investor session where one of the investors came up with that stock idea. We analyzed it, really liked it, and the stock really moved. It went up more than 6% today, as well as other software stocks really moved today. Software stocks really, really did well, as well as other sectors that I'll get to in a minute. Let's take a look at the heat map. And I'm going to start from right to left. Healthcare stocks are working. Lilly up, J&J, Merck, Pfizer, AbbVie. It's all green. Man, this is like a garden. This is like a garden well into spring. All the vibrant colors. Look at that. It's just a beautiful, beautiful view. Lilly was up 2.9. Amgen was up. AbbVie. I really like that. Pfizer's really rocking now. J&J is rocking. Nicely done. The healthcare payers, United Healthcare was up. Cigna was up. CVS was up. Elevance was up. Nice. Very nice. Med device was up. I mean, healthcare is beginning to work. It looks really interesting. The energy stocks, the two majors worked. This oil and gas, not sure why I think oil gases went down. This is where some stocks were shellacked, is these independent power producers that were supposed to power data centers, and they were just priced so expensively. They crashed and burned today, and I'll show you the worst of the bunch in a bit. Consumer staples, of course, did well because, it's a flight to safety. Not a lot to say in industrials. They did okay. A couple of them did quite well. Like LMT did well. Glad I own LMT. AT&T had a very good day. A lot of good news out of their earnings. They announced earnings today, and it did well. Meta did well. Google did not. I own more Meta than Google, but still, Google was down 4.2 because their AI models are going to be. Are they going to be up to the challenge with DeepSeek? Are they going to be more affordable and so forth? We'll see. Financials did great. Look at all this green. Amazon held its value. Very impressive. That e-commerce business is holding it. Apple did not really invest much in AI, so they didn't have much to lose, but they have a lot to gain. Who cares who wins the AI war if they just partner with Apple, I guess. And that was the market's opinion. A lot of software names really went up. CRM went up. Just a lot of names did pop. I own a variety of software companies, so I was really glad I owned them. That's what held the value of my portfolio up. Adobe is one of those that I own. I'm really glad that I own it because it went up, and I think Adobe could go up higher. So now the big dumpster fire is semiconductors. Semiconductor cyclical. It's going to have booms and busts. NVIDIA was the biggest market cap loser of them all, and just got shellacked. Broadcom, it got shellacked. Just brutal. So it was a brutal day if you were in certain sectors, but then again, if you've been in them for like 3 years, you're doing just fine. You're probably up quite a bit on your investment. So that's where we're at. So looks like Saber 2, I'm down 1.6%. I feel no heat yet. And if this is a prolonged sell-off crash, just remember it creates opportunities to buy businesses that you want to own, and you want to own a greater portion of by buying more shares. So, if you're a long-term investor, this comes with the territory. This is stock investing. It's not like putting money in the bank where they say, "Hey, you're going to earn this interest rate," and then you just watch the interest come in. That you don't make much money doing that. You make almost zero. When you stock invest, you make a greater return, but you're subjected to adverse conditions like today. Looking at sectors, ranking year to date, healthcare is on top. Healthcare is the best performing sector year to date. It's really good to see because I think healthcare has a lot of value to deliver the market. Materials is number 2. Financials, number 3. Financials is getting it done. Got it done in 2024, and it's getting it done in 2025. Communication services, industrials. The laggard is technology because that semiconductor space and data center related stocks are just crushing that index. And no sympathy because they crushed it for 2 years. So they have plenty of money that they made, and they're the biggest sector of all. Technology is 21 trillion, and the second closest would be probably consumer discretionary, 8.9 trillion. So technology is so big, so much capital left technology today. It was really, really incredible. The space that was super overheated, and the perfect example of how it was just hard to believe that investors didn't see that this was a problem, was Vistra. It rose so much. These are independent power companies, and these companies do not make a lot of money. They do not create a lot of cash. They're just not very desirable. And this stock got crushed down 28%. And hang on to your hats because this is probably going to continue. I could see this stock just getting crushed for a nice 4 to 10 day period, similar to like CrowdStrike when they got crushed. This stock could be crushed for a couple of days, and we'll see where it stabilizes. GE Renova, which was just a superheated stock, it was down 21%. Just a lot of pain and suffering with these independent power companies. The ones that are regulated, not so much. These are regulated power companies. They were not bid up. They were not flying extremely high. They were just okay. When we look at the big caps, Apple started the day, or started the day in third place, but now it's in first place because NVIDIA was number 1, but now they lost 17% or $600 billion market cap. So now they're at number 3. Microsoft is number 2. So we'll see where the bleeding stops for NVIDIA. We will see. We will see where trading ends on NVIDIA tomorrow. My guess is it's going to continue to sell off. I think investors, the smart money, the big money, big hedge funds, they're going to get out of that stock. And I know retail, I'm a retail investor, so I'm going to root for retail, but we don't represent much in a stock of that market cap. I have to think we're like 10% of the population, maybe 15. Smaller caps, maybe a greater percentage, but with NVIDIA, you have a couple big investors leave. It creates a lot of momentum to sell off the stock. And today, I'm sure a lot of stop losses were triggered. Tomorrow, people will set their top stop losses and really kind of not want to lose any more because they're probably sitting on good gains. Or if they got in late, they want to limit their losses. Just a lot's probably happening with those investors. And I think it's going to sell off further this week, but we will see. The market will decide what to do. So we'll see. Google was down. Amazon held its own. And Meta had a really good day. And the story behind that is that Meta, they can use whatever AI ends up being the winner of the overall AI race. They're a media company. So we'll see. So Omar, come on, Vic, bye. Yeah, I bought some stocks today, but just certain ones. I bought Microsoft, and I bought a variety of lists. I put them on the Discord channel. Coming down the list, of course, Broadcom got shellacked, and so did TSM. TSM had a very good start to the year, and now they're not. So Broadcom's officially in correction territory, down 12%. NVIDIA is in correction territory, obviously, because they had such a bad day. But for year to date, they're down almost 12%. So that's how ugly it was out there for the big caps.